All right, guys, strap in. I'm about to explain to you the most interesting reason why states buy weapons. Traditionally, most of us think that the reason why states buy arms or the calculus that states use to decide to buy arms is based on perceived threats and how much money they have. And it all centers around this concept of national strategic choice. And that makes sense in the way that if a state faces a threat, then they're going to try to protect themselves. And if they have to go buy arms, they're going to buy something that they can actually afford. This theory is rational utility procurement theory, which essentially means that weapons are just tools. They're only valued for their utility. But are weapons just tools? If they're just tools, and if states are actually procuring arms based on threats and within their budget, I look at some examples and go, yeah, I don't think that's happening. I can look at Switzerland and the recent buy of F 35s. This is the least threatened country in the entire world. Why would they have that need to buy that type of weapon? And I could look at Uganda and their purchase of a dozen Su 30s, where they almost emptied the state coffers just to pay for them. That doesn't make a whole lot of rational sense, right? So, how do we explain this? Do we have to go back and ask ourselves, are weapons just tools? Because sociology says weapons are never just tools, they're symbols, and states value weapons outside of the utility that they actually give the state. Because think about it. Most states never use weapons for their intended reason. They're never going to use them for the utility that they provide. So, why are they buying weapons at an even higher and higher rate? As a political scientist, it breaks my heart to say that sociology is coming in here to the rescue with what's called traditional role theory. What traditional role theory essentially says is that states are going to play the role of a state, and there's certain norms or certain conventions that states have to meet in order for a state to be considered a state by all the other states. Confusing, but let me explain. If a state is looking to become a state, it has to have something that's called statehood. And statehood is going to center around the concept of sovereignty, which is recognized by the UN and requires a state to have the ability to maintain territorial integrity and political independence. What better way to do that than have a military and buy weapons? That allows you to protect your land and it allows you to protect your political power. So essentially, in this case, we can say that states are kind of born arming. They have to buy weapons in order to become a state. So it's unsurprising when we see states acquiring arms, especially the most modern arms, because states want to be considered the most modern, independent state that's out there. Which is why you have states which may not be able to afford arms buying these very expensive planes. It also explains why you have countries like Switzerland who may not have a threat around, but they're buying the most modern, capable jet out there. Why? Because they want to be considered a modern state. And let's be real. States act the same way that each one of us do. States care about status and prestige. And the more modern and expensive your weapons are, the more modern and developed the state is considered to be. Pretty crazy, huh? So the next time that you see a news piece saying that a state is buying these brand new weapons, ask yourself, is there a threat there? Do they have the money for it? And likely you'll begin to see more and more that states purchase weapons for reasons outside of a traditional rational utility perspective. And that blew my mind. I hope it blew yours.